When I started my journey as an entrepreneur in the year 2007, I had many objectives, and along with many professional objectives, I had a personal objective, which was to create happy educational institutions and happy workplaces. And throughout this journey, if there is one thing that I learned that helped me a lot, was the saying that in order to find the right answers, one must be able to ask the right questions. And therefore today, on behalf of everyone, please allow me to ask the right questions so that we can increase the possibility of finding the right answers, especially when the question is as delicate and sensitive as mental health. My first question, ladies and gentlemen, is do we know the difference between poor mental health and mental illness? Allow me to describe it with an example. Suppose, imagine that your brain is this rubber ball, a perfectly normal, fine, simple rubber ball. It can roll around, it can play around, it can jump around. But if I put some pressure on it, you would see that it would develop a lot of stress. This situation is something like poor mental health. It can be rectified. How? By removing the weight from it. But what if this weight is put on this for long time? Not just for hours, but for days and weeks and months and years. And now I'm very sure that the likelihood of this brain restoring its original shape would be very less. In fact, it is likely that it would crumble under the pressure. Now that's mental illness. Mental illness is a clinical situation and must be treated clinically. But mental health is something that each one of us in the society can contribute to in our own small ways, in our own small steps. What are those steps? In order to find those, let's ask ourselves the next question. If we want to solve the problem of mental health, which one should we concentrate on? Should we concentrate on the weight or should we concentrate on the ball? If your answer is either one of them, we are not again looking at it from a very holistic perspective. In order to look at it holistically, you'll have to consider both of them. Because solving this problem can happen only when it is a wholesome, a macroscopic solution to the problem of mental health, and not just by changing the system or by asking the individual to change. Allow me to decode the weight part first. My experiences, my studies, my researches and everything over these years, it taught me that your weight, which is equivalent to the life, the society, the challenges therein, they can be categorized into two parts. First would be the significant others. Significant others are our family, our friends, our teachers, our colleagues, our bosses. These people, when they have expectations from us, when they use words and actions and behaviors with us, they tend to create some sort of weight on us. But then there is another category, which is the make-believe significant others. Make-believe significant others are those who actually are not significant in our lives, but somehow we have created a notion in our minds that they are the most important ones. I am referring to social media influencers, people online, your friends online, posting a lot of photographs and trying to give us an image that they have a perfect life and we don't have it, thereby creating a comparison. Now let's look at the significant others first. I am going to ask one more question here so that all of us can look at it from another very different perspective. The question is, are we the significant other for someone? As a parent, as brother, as a friend, as a teacher, as a boss, as an employer? Obviously, some of us would be there. And the subsequent question, the related question is, and are we putting that person, that weight on that someone's mind? Now, before you answer this question very quickly, I would want you people to take some time, think about it, and try to figure out that there is a possibility that you are aware of the obviously wrong words, but then there are certain words which are seemingly harmless, but they actually have a lot of damaging properties. For example, imagine a parent. You are a parent and your child comes to you after the exam with his results, and the first question that you ask him after he shows you the result is, "और शर्मा जी के बेटे के कितने आए?" Now you will see that immediately what he has achieved has been completely nullified, and suddenly there is a comparative game. Now that creates a lot of mental pressure. If this becomes a part of the family, the normal conversations, imagine how many tests a student goes through and how many times have you actually put that weight on that person's mind. Imagine you are a teacher and in a classroom there are students who are casually talking or they commit a small mischief, and intuitively, without any ill intention even, you come up with something like, I'll see you in the exam. Let's see how much do you score in the exam. As opposed to, you must enjoy your tests, you must enjoy your exams. Now, what has happened is a test that was supposed to be a benchmark of performance, a feedback mechanism for improvement, suddenly has become the most scary thing. Even the most intelligent students, they cannot keep themselves away from this fear of performance in exams. And why does that happen? Because somewhere in our words, in our day-to-day lives, we have used such words without knowing it. In the corporate world also, the same thing keeps happening. Somebody comes late, and instead of asking that, I hope everything is fine, can I help you? Your question is, why are you late? In a very, very dominating manner. So suddenly, that pressure gets built up. What I'm referring to is, while your intentions may not be questioned, as a communication trainer, I have always told people that communication has to happen from the receiver's end and not from the speaker's end. Nobody understands your intentions, but your words have reached to the other person. And therefore, the request is, we have got to be very mindful, very, very perceptive about the words, the sentences that we use, especially when we are dealing with youth. Moving on to the make-believe significant others. Now, make-believe significant others, as I said, they are those people who are there on the social media and somehow they give us an impression of having the perfect life. They buy the most luxurious materialistic things. They seem to have the most perfect relationships, most romantic places they visit, the swankiest hotels they go to, and they seem to have the life that we do not have. And somehow making us believe that there is something very, very, very wrong in our lives. Now, before I go further, let's have a selfie, all right? I would want to have a selfie with you people, and I would request all of you people to just give me a smile. Now, actually, I'm not taking any selfie, but just ask yourself what just happened. The moment I said, okay, let's have a selfie, and suddenly I saw a lot of you people, you started buttoning up and sitting a little smartly. You also kind of, faked your smiles. And right now, ask yourself, what just happened? In front of the camera, you did not want to look grumpy. You wanted to smile. And that's exactly the case with all of those social media influencers. All your friends who post photographs online because they just, cherry pick the photographs that are nice, and that's what they put. They do not show you the whole truth. For example, your whole truth is not this smiling photo. Your whole truth is this smiling photo along with many other good things, along with many other challenges in your life. Same is the case with them. So how do you believe that those people have a perfect life? What a lot of people, especially the youngsters, what they end up doing is they start comparing their lives with such videographed, edited movies and films, and then they start questioning their own existence. And that is where these people create a lot of mental pressure on themselves. Let's move on and look at what is the possible solution that I can offer. I personally have observed that whatever is online has got some part which is virtual. And I have always believed that if you get to the real side of life, things are going to get better. And therefore, please get closer to real life, to real art, dancing, music, reading, communication. I believe that communicating with people is going to genuinely help you understand your own selves better, and the mental health would be restored in a much, much better manner. We are also going to decode the ball. Not that it's all the problem of the weight, the society. We also need to put some sort of responsibility on the ball as well, to each one of us. What I'm trying to refer to is, how many times have I questioned my own thinking? How many times do I sit down and think about what is the right way, and allow me to ask some of the very important questions that may guide your way? The very first question is, what kind of person are you? Do you live on the edges, or do you live in the middle? What I mean by that, ever since I was a kid, I had this natural, divine gift of not living the extremes. I always stayed in the middle. And then I realized this is what life is. We don't live in a black or white. We live in that gray area where everyone has got pluses and minuses. It all depends upon where do you see. A long time back, I came up with this theory where that what is your amplitude of emotion, which means in the times of joy, in the times of success, how high was your crust of emotion? If it was very high, what you have done is you have increased the amplitude, and therefore accordingly the lower would be your trough. What I'm trying to say here again is, when you let go of the control of your own emotions, of your own thinking, every time every emotion is going to disturb you higher and higher and higher. And that's why I suggest people to live in the middle, which means the mantra, this too shall pass. You get some success, give yourself a pat on the back, but look further. You fail, it's okay, console yourself, maybe shed a tear or two, but then move further. The more you do that, the better is going to be your mental health, because your brain wants to have more and more activity. The next question that I want you people to ask is, what's your relationship with yourself? What I mean by that was, every time you commit a small error, you're trying to make a presentation and suddenly something goes wrong. You are walking down the ramp in a wedding, in a function, and suddenly, let's say, your foot slips. What do you tell yourself? Do you hate yourself for being so clumsy? Do you feel extremely embarrassed? Are your emotions, completely out of place? If that is the case, maybe you do not love yourself enough. You need to develop that healthy relationship that even if the small follies are there, you can laugh it off because you love yourself so much. It's okay. How many times do you hate your best friend for making a mistake? I don't think we do that. Similarly, if we make a mistake, why do we start hating ourselves? Why do we start questioning ourselves? It has been observed that it generally happens because we are carrying the baggage of our past. The weight that probably was put on you when you were 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, suddenly you still carry that burden. Every time there is a mistake, you go into the same zone and then you start questioning your own selves. The last question that I want you people to ask yourself is the weight still there? I request each one of us to look at your life from another perspective now. Things that made you what you are, and if you are carrying that burden, do those things still exist? Something that happened in your school life, something that happened when you're 8, 10, 12, 15, those variables have changed. You have changed. And if at all you feel that that weight does not exist anymore, don't you think it is time to move on? And if the weight is still there, even then the ball can move away. What I'm referring to is, tell yourself that I am not going to live with toxic people, toxic environment. I'm going to live a very happy life because that's what I deserve. Thank you so much.